everyone, welcome back to Lori's Kitchen. Today we're making Asian onion chicken in the Instant Pot. It's really good. It's almost like, I would describe it as like a barbecue type of sauce because you use some tomato paste in here, lots of onions, other spices, some soy sauce. So let me show you what it looks like. It makes a nice gravy, and I did the pot and pot method, and I cooked some rice at the same time. So come along with me and let's make some Asian onion chicken in the Instant Pot. Let's take a look at the ingredients needed to make this recipe. You need 1.5 to 2 pounds of boneless chicken thighs, 1 cup of chicken broth, 1 cup of white rice. I'm using short grained Calrose, 1 cup of cold water, a pot and pot pan. I'm using this metal one that I ordered on Amazon, 2 teaspoons of avocado oil, 1/4 cup of soy sauce. I'm using gluten-free, but you can use regular, 1.5 onions that we're going to thinly slice, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce, 2 to 3 teaspoons of granulated sugar, salt and pepper to taste, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, make sure it's powder and not garlic salt, and 3 to 4 fresh garlic cloves minced, or you can use the pre-minced garlic in a jar, about 2 tablespoons. Let's start making our sauce. We're going to start with 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Add in the 1/4 cup of soy sauce. I'm using gluten-free soy sauce for those who are trying to stay away from gluten. Now I'm going to add in my 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. It gives it so much flavor. Going to take a small whisk all the sauce ingredients together, ensure it's thoroughly incorporated. You'll see because of the tomato paste it gets a little bit thick. That's the way you want it. And the last ingredient, we're adding in the granulated sugar. I'm using about 2 teaspoons here, and mix it thoroughly. And you can give it a taste if you like to see how the seasonings are, if they taste good to you. The next step, we're going to plug in our Instant Pot, press saute, and let it warm up. And we want it on the more setting. Put your sauce to the side and let's begin preparing our vegetables and meat. I always like to put a paper towel underneath my cutting board. If my cutting board slides around on my countertop, this makes it safer when doing any knife work. We're going to begin with the onion, so I'm going to cut off both ends and peel off the outer skin. Now I cut it in half, and I'm making very thin slices of onion. I just want it cut in half like this with thin slices. It's going to add a really nice flavor to the sauce. Next, we're going to move on to preparing the chicken. I like to put a paper towel on top of my cutting board. These thighs were previously frozen and I did dry them off, but there's still a little bit of moisture that tends to come out, so I like to just use a paper towel sometimes if they feel a little bit wet. And what I did was cut off the excess fat on my boneless chicken thighs. Now we're going to get ready to season them. I'm first adding my Himalayan salt, some cracked black pepper, and the third seasoning that I use on my meat is the granulated garlic or garlic powder. Then I'll flip over all my thighs and repeat the same seasoning on the second side. To know that your Instant Pot has heated up enough, it will say hot on the display. Now we're getting ready to saute our chicken. This is going to add a lot of flavor to our sauce. So I always add in the butter, and I'm going to use about half the butter because I'll be browning this chicken in 2 batches. With the butter and olive oil in the pan, I'm putting the chicken, what used to be skin side down. Remember, these are boneless chicken thighs. And I'm going to put enough in that cover the bottom of the pot. It's about half the chicken. Once it's browned for about 3 minutes, I'm going to flip it over and brown it for another 2 to 3 minutes until nicely golden brown. Carefully remove your chicken thighs from the pot. You want to be careful because they may stick to the bottom and break apart. And once I'm done with the first batch, I'm going to repeat the second with the second batch. Put in the tablespoon of butter. That helps the chicken thighs for not sticking. I put in a dash more olive oil. And now I'm going to add my thighs, the skin side down, that used to be skin side, and repeat the process. When the second set is done, we're going to take it out of the pot and put it on a plate. Once all the chicken has been removed, it's time to start browning the onions. Now you see it looks like there's some brown bits on the bottom. Don't worry. When the liquid comes out of the onions, the water, it'll help deglaze the bottom of the pan. And if it's not deglazed completely by the time we're done sauteing our onions, we'll add a little more moisture. So as you can see, there's nice little half circle thin slices of onion. As you can see, as these onions started sweating in the pan, the moisture came out and actually helped deglaze the pan. So the bottom of my pan is clean. You never want to leave your pressure cooker with bits on the bottom because that will cause a burn error. So we're in good shape. Now that the onions look like this, we're ready to go on to the next step. I added in my minced garlic, and I'm just going to let the aromatic smell come out for just about 30 seconds. Stir it with the onions. While I'm letting my onions cook down just a bit more, I'm taking my 1 cup of rice and rinsing it in the pan that I'm going to cook it in with cold water. You want to use cold water. It works best when you're cooking rice. I usually rinse it and I'm squishing the grains of rice against my hand and ensuring that the whiteness is coming off. Any white outside will come off the rice. Once you see your water is clear, you can drain it for the final time. Make sure you drain it really, really well because then you're going to measure your 1 cup of water that goes into your rice. You don't want to have too much water or your rice will end up turning soggy. I find that cooking rice in a pot in the Instant Pot works best. Put the rice aside. We're going to go back to our Instant Pot. Now that the onions are cooked to our liking, I'm going to go ahead and add in my 1 cup of chicken broth. Again, I'm going to give it a stir, just ensuring nothing's sticking to the bottom and nothing is. Now we're going to put in the rest of our ingredients. We're going to add in our Asian onion sauce or barbecue sauce. We're just going to mix it with the onions so it's thoroughly incorporated and it doesn't want to burn on the bottom because there is a little bit of sugar in our sauce. Then I'm going to carefully add in my pieces of chicken to the bottom of the pan. And if I have to, I'll stack them on top of one another. They don't all have to be immersed in the barbecue sauce. Now, if you don't have a trivet, you can literally put the pan right on top of the chicken. I have a trivet that came with my Instant Pot when I got it a few years ago, so I'm adding my trivet in first. This will help keep the rice pot off of the chicken. However, like I said, you can literally put the pan right on top of the meat. It would still work fine. Take your Instant Pot lid and ensure that your ring is placed and seated very carefully in the little groove that's provided for the ring. I use my finger and I push it all around the edges just to make sure it's sitting in place. Otherwise, when you put on the lid, you may not get a good seal. So once I've checked it, I put on my lid, twist it, which locks it in place, and move the valve to sealing. On your Instant Pot display panel, hit cancel, pressure cook, and move it to 5 minutes. You can see the pressure is set to high pressure on the right, under the number 5. The display will turn to on, and then once it hits pressure, it's going to start counting down from 5 minutes down. So here's the 5-minute mark, the 1-minute mark. Once it's done, it goes to L000, which means it's under natural pressure release. And we're going to do it under natural pressure release for 5 minutes. Here's what it looks like when it's under 1 minute, 4 minutes, and then when it hits 5 minutes. Keep in mind, there's not going to be an alarm on the natural pressure release. So after the cooking time completes and it beeps, you'll have to set a manual timer or keep check and watch it hit L005, like this. After the 5-minute natural release, I'm going to use my wooden spoon, move my valve to venting, and allow for a quick release of the rest of the pressure. In order to know if it's safe to open your pot, you're going to watch for the pin to drop, the pin that's right next to the valve. So once the pin drops, like this, you'll know it's safe to open your lid. So you grab onto the handle, turn it counterclockwise, not even a quarter of a turn, lift up, and you have your dish. As you can see, my rice has a little bit of sauce in it, and that has to do with the pressure that it was under. But that's okay, it's gonna taste delicious. I was gonna pour sauce on my rice anyway. In order to prevent this in the future though, you could put a lid on that, and my pan did come with a lid, my insert, but I chose not to use it this time. And there's your beautiful chicken and sauce. Scoop it out carefully, spoon it over your rice, and you have an amazing quick dinner for any day of the week. I hope you enjoyed my Asian style onion chicken made in the Instant Pot. If you enjoyed this recipe, please give my video a thumbs up and comment down below. If you would like to see more of my videos, please hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell to be informed when my next video is available. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye-bye.